Well, y'all have spoken, and apparently, instead of vehicle sounds like this, y'all would much rather have vehicle sounds like this. And in today's Offroad Outlaws video, we're going to be talking about that being the most popular request pretty much across the board, and tons more. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the video. And before we get into anything else, quick disclaimer, all of the stuff that we are going to be talking about here, unless stated otherwise, is speculation based on your comments and other comments that I have found across the community in terms of Offroad Outlaws, based on suggestions that the community would like to see in future updates from the developers. Again, none of this is confirmed information, but rather speculation based in and around things that the community has requested to see in the game. Also, at the date of recording this video, the release date of the next update is currently unknown. However, when we do know more, I will be bringing all of that information to y'all right here on the channel. And if you want to stay as up to date as possible on the future of Offroad Outlaws, make sure you're subscribed and have those notifications turned on. Now, if I go back across the comments of all of my Offroad Outlaws future update feature speculation videos that I have done, one theme continues to surface to the top. I know that in the past couple of videos, I've covered a little bit more of the obscure suggestions, but looking back through all of those comments, one suggestion in particular rings true and clear above basically all the rest. It always gets voted almost all the way to the top, or it's always in the top 3 comments in terms of upvotes, and that is a loud and clear cry from the community for updated engine sounds. Now, ever since we got the sounds that the game has right now, they've been a little bit controversial because there were a lot of people that did not like these sounds from day one. Now, there could be a couple of reasons that they went with this particular soundtrack for the vehicles. Now, the sound files that we have in the game right now, they do sound fairly, I'm not sure if I'm getting the word correct here, but you'll probably understand what I mean. They sound fairly compressed. They sound like they have been downsized quite a bit. Now, I learned a while back that if you talk about, say, for example, SnowRunner modding, and you talk about the amount of RAM, or basically temporary memory, that a vehicle in SnowRunner uses, one of the simplest ways to bring the memory usage down is to not use a custom sound file. Now, stick with me here. I would probably guess, and again, this is just a guess, but I would guess that maybe in order to make Offroad Outlaws use less space while adding more features on mobile devices, they may have gone with a more compressed sound file to try to bring the space and memory usage down while being able to add more features, because this is kind of a constant give and take, because these mobile devices can only handle so much, and if you're going to add a lot in one area, there's going to be a little bit of a takeaway in another area usually. These things usually work in a sort of push-pull kind of system. It's like if you push a little bit over here, well, you're going to have to pull a little bit over here. And I think that that could be what is happening, although that is just my general theory. Another theory is that the sounds that are in the game right now were just like quick and simple to get and quick and simple to put in, and you know, it could have been that when they were looking through different sounds, maybe they figured this one sounded better than the old sounds. That's also a possibility, because you've got to remember that before these sounds were implemented, there were people asking for the old sounds to be changed as well. Although I don't really remember what people were specifically asking for. I think they just the general gist of it was people just saying over and over and over again, new sounds please, or we want new sounds. And really, if there's ever any specification as to what people want the sounds to sound like, they usually just say, we want more realistic sounds. Now, when you talk about having more realistic sounds, again, you're starting to talk about, well, a sound is going to, particularly an engine or exhaust sound, is going to sound more realistic the more clear the recording is. And here's the thing, when you have a recording with more clarity, that's again going to take up more space, and the file size is going to be larger. It's going to take more, virtual energy for the device that's running the game to access that audio file. All of that type of stuff is going to take up more space, use more RAM, and essentially be a heavier draw on your device, both in terms of your processor, your battery, all of these different things. These are all factors that mobile games kind of have to think about. And I know that some people might be thinking, oh my God, why are we doing a video primarily about sounds? We've talked about sounds to no end. It's like, oh, Offroad Outlaws needs new sounds. And then tomorrow again, it's like, oh, Offroad Outlaws needs new sounds. And I get that, sound in this game has kind of been a topic that has been talked about over and over and over again, and I get it, I feel it, I've talked about it before too, so I'm not immune from that. Yeah, I get it, but I think it's important to dig deeper into the topic when it's literally the top suggestion that I see in the comments almost every single time I make an Offroad Outlaws video. And if there are that many people requesting it, that many people upvoting the comments, it goes to the top of the list, or rather near the top of the list almost every time. I'm like, that's a pretty good indicator that that's the topic that's on a lot of people's minds, especially a lot of people's minds that play this game and watch my channel. So I figured, we should probably dig more into this. Now, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to play y'all a couple of sound clips, and I've actually gone in and boosted the sound so it's a little bit louder and you can hear the engines in a little bit more detail. But I'm going to play y'all some sound clips that I recorded using some SnowRunner truck mods, and I want you to tell me which sound you like the best in the comments down below. And now that we've listened to all of those sound clips individually, let me know in the comments down below which one you found to be the most pleasing to your ears and which one you think would be kind of the right direction to go. Now, obviously, we're not going to get those exact sounds in Offroad Outlaws, but what would be cool to see in Offroad Outlaws is essentially like a variation of some sounds like that. Something in the general realm of sounds that sound like those. And I think, obviously people have requested, people have actually heavily requested switchable sounds. So they could be like, well, if it's a Ford, I want it to sound closer to a Power Stroke. And if it's a Dodge, I want it to sound closer to a Cummins. And if it's a Chevy, I want it to sound closer to a Duramax, and so on and so forth. You get the picture. But again, I don't know if Offroad Outlaws has the ability to allocate that much space in the game to sounds. You know what I mean? So it might be a case of we might have to pick, a direction that we would want the sound design to go, and that might just be where the sound design ends up going. Now, again, that is all speculation, so take that with a grain of salt. This is more for the discussion of it, but I think that even if they took one of those sounds as inspiration and then kind of rolled with their own kind of version of it, we would definitely see an upgrade. Because my take on the way the sounds in the game are right now, the diesel sound in particular, at idle, it kind of sounds like a tractor. And once it starts to get up in the revs, it starts to sound more like a gas engine than a diesel engine. And it would also be really, really nice to get more pronounced turbo spool sounds and really more pronounced forced induction sounds in general. So louder turbo spool, louder supercharger whine, and maybe even the ability to adjust how much of it you want to hear. So let's say you install a upgraded turbo on your truck, right? You might have wouldn't it be cool to have the option to have a slider for your turbo spool volume? volume. You know what I mean? That would be so freaking cool. And same for supercharger whine. Like, if you put a supercharger on a gas engine and you were like, well, you know, let's say you were building like a Charger Hellcat, for example, and you wanted to turn that supercharger whine all the way up. That would be so cool to do. But also, like, if you were doing maybe a more mild supercharger build, like on, I don't know, like an F-150 or something, and you wanted like a mid-range volume level for the supercharger whine. You maybe didn't want it maxed out, but you also didn't want it to be, you know, completely quiet either. And so I think the sounds really do lead back into the theme that keeps going on and on and on that I keep seeing in the comments of what people want to see is more choice in terms of customization. And this all leads right back into more choice in terms of how we can build our vehicles, and really whether that's sound or visuals or, you know, drivability options, that's kind of what it usually all leads back to, apart from, of course, new vehicle suggestions. So if y'all enjoyed this Offroad Outlaws video, let me know your thoughts and opinions on anything and everything that we talked about in the comment section down below. And if you're new around here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn those notifications on, and I will see y'all next time. Talk to y'all later.